Okay, so we picked a very good subject today to get into with you, and you've been doing this long enough, and you've got your own methodology, so you're going to share with us, and it's all about external traffic,
Hmm.
which is a big deal because it rewards in many ways, but there you just cannot start driving external traffic without putting some thought into it. So today we're going to cover all about handling external traffic, how to drive it, what should be a winning strategy, some winning strategies. You'll share with us how to measure it, how to structure it. So those listening, you want to stay focused because we're going to cover all aspects of this business. So with that, let's start. So let's say that I'm a seller and I'm going to launch my product. And then let's say that I have, these days, everybody has some kind of social media presence, but let's assume that it's not that significant. So where do I start with external traffic efforts?
What kind of product do you have?
You want me to give you a politician's answer?
So, well, the reason I ask, right? Like, there's different
Consumer
ways.
product, of course. Consumer
Yeah,
product,
yeah, yeah.
not
So,
businesses.
so the thing you always want to ask yourself is, who is my target customer? How are they feeling when they're ready to buy this product? And then where are they at that time, right? So you got to think about as well does your product require a lot of education, or is it something that everyone knows exists? If they know it exists, they're actively looking for it. So they have a problem, they're aware of the solution, which is your product, so they're actively looking for it. If that's the case, search engine marketing, Google ads, Bing ads, that kind of thing, or SEO are great because there's people already actively looking for it. It's very middle of funnel. Conversion rates are typically higher. So that's going to be your best bet. If you are in let's say a wildly competitive space, so let's do like coffee or like apparel, right? Like very, very competitive. Or you have the other side of it, which is you've more or less invented something and it's something that no one really knows exists. So it requires a little bit more education. That's better from a social media side because then you can present and educate the market with the differences of the product or how the product works if it's something completely new. So it kind of depends on the approach and who your target customer is. The nice thing about basically doing this process when you're an Amazon seller is if you're already running ads on Amazon, which if you're on Amazon 9 times out of 10 you've already got some keyword data. You know which PPC, like which keywords are working for you well. You might have some insights into who your customer base is. And from there, it could tell you a little bit so that when you start from an off Amazon perspective, you're not starting completely from scratch. But basically, to kind of loop around and answer your question, it's going to depend on the product and the customer because that's going to depend on which channel you want to start on first.
So, Andrew, one of the things that always comes up is people put up their website. So on their website, they have the product. And these days, people are very quick to jump on setting up a Shopify store. And then, I always say, don't. Because at the beginning, when you're launching, you have so many unknowns and so much money that you can spend. So instead, focus your efforts on Amazon, but use your website to provide the information about the product, any content or anything else, but drive them to your Amazon listing to complete the purchase. And especially now you have Buy with Prime that makes it easier. What are your thoughts about that?
I don't entirely agree, but you're in the right direction. So I'm a big fan of diversifying. And when I say away from Amazon, I don't mean like don't use Amazon. I mean like something else, usually your website. The main reason I always say that is there's a bunch of studies out there. If you sold, let's say you had an Amazon business doing $2 or $3 million annually, but it's just an FBA business. Someone who's going to acquire you, basically the asset that they're going to get, you have the obvious, your profit, your product, your inventory, that kind of stuff, and then your process, right? Outside of that, they're not really getting much of anything else, right? And you're stuck with the Seller Central account. It is what it is. You can't really expand the product line too much because you can't leverage your existing audience to like promote new products and things that you've got. If you have your own website, now you're adding in a lot more different audiences, and you're expanding the buyer pool of who would be interested in acquiring you down the line. So now you've got an email list, you've got social media following, you've got organic traffic coming in, like those people being pixeled. Obviously, you have a lot of different process and probably stronger profit margins from there as well. So when you go to exit an Amazon FBA business and you're, let's say, sub 10 million a year, you usually exit for about a 2 to 4x EBITDA, right? If you actually have your own website, and let's say you're doing the exact same amount, you're sub 10 million, you're going to exit most of the time for closer to a 3 to 6x EBITDA because you've got significantly more assets to be able to leverage. However, it also opens up your buyer pool. If I'm an Amazon FBA seller, I'm probably going to get acquired by some aggregator out there, and they're just going to, bring me in, and it is what it is, and then things are going to move on. If you've got your own brand, you've got your own audience. Let's say you sell fishing gear. I could go and get acquired by another fishing company that wants to expand their product line, or I could get acquired by a hunting company or a camping company or someone who wants to leverage my existing data to benefit their also pre-existing business. So you really open up who could potentially acquire you, and you can get a higher multiple. So I'm a big fan of diversifying. Outside of that, the main reason that I usually preach diversifying, between agencies, I was in-house for a little while, and I'd started somewhere as a good size seller, 8 figures in Amazon, 7 figures on their own website. And I was there. I started in August, and the week before Black Friday, ads were ramping up, and you can only do so much with a credit card at that time. So you had to change out the credit card. Well, for whatever reason, Amazon thought that our new credit card was fraud. So it completely suspended the account, and we were out for 2 weeks. And I knew, like, this is literally like our peak. I had just started. I thought, like, I just got this job. I'm going to be out of here like after 2 months. So luckily, the person I was working with at the time's big in the Amazon space. They were able to get it resolved within a couple of weeks. It was just one of those stupid things where Amazon flagged it, and it was what it was. But the thing that I realized was like, okay, we can't be so reliant on Amazon because it's a majority of our business. And if this were to happen again and we can't solve it fast enough, we're screwed. So I really like to find ways to diversify.